Hey, so this is a quick video on the terminology of type. We are on lesson 3 of unit 3. Okay, so this is all going to be about typography and how typography people like construct the spacing of their font faces. And the first thing that you need to know is this concept of a pica and a point. So you're going to see this a lot if you really get into the graphic design world. So the first thing is a pica. So a pica is used a lot in graphic design, way more than inches or millimeters. So one pica is about 1/6 of an inch. So to create a full inch, that would be 6 picas. So you often see like when people talk about typefaces in graphic design, they'll often say like, oh, my font size is 1 pica, and they'll just put a P right there. So 1 pica. And the next thing that you need to learn is point. So point is less than a pica. So 12 points make up 1 pica. So this is 1 point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means if you multiply that by 6, 72 points equals 6 picas, which equals 1 inch. Okay, so you might have a font size that's 1 point or 1 pica and then like 5 points, something like that. Okay, and it's not just used for font sizes. It's used for, say you have a page and then you have margins on the page. So this distance here will also be like, say, 1 pica. All right, so now you know when you see those crazy words, pica, you know what they mean by that. Now let me just say one note about pixels. You'll see this as well. So someone's designing a website. Sometimes they write the font size as like 12px as pixels, right? The problem with that is that you won't know what size that will be on different monitors. So older monitors might be 72 pixels per inch. So a pixel is like on a monitor screen, like the light rays, right? So how many boxes creates the monitor screen? But the brand new screens have way more pixels per inch. Okay, so a letter might be, say you have a T. It might be this big on the old monitors, but on the new monitors, it may only be this big. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you can, try to avoid using pixels as a measurement device. All right, so now let's get into more of the anatomy of typefaces. So this section is going to be about spacing. So the first word is leading. I know it looks like leading, but they pronounce it leading in typography. So leading is the space between sentences. So here you can see that this is a large leading, kind of a medium leading, and then a very small leading. Okay, so if you ever are creating a design project and you're just looking at this and you're like, oh man, that just seems off. It looks like there's just too much space between it. This is the attribute, the characteristic that you want to change about the font that you selected. The next one is tracking. So tracking is the spacing between the letters of a word. So tracking will affect every space between every letter of the word. So we got large, we got big, nice, roomy spaces, normal, and then very small. So obviously large tracking, you would use that more for like headings and titles. And then small tracking is like when you just need to fit a lot of information in a very small space for appropriate situations. Like, I don't know, maybe like a technical document where the design is a little less important, but be careful you don't cram your letters in too much together or it just becomes unreadable. The next big concept, the last one, is kerning. Okay, so this is really getting into the fine detail. You probably won't do this too much in high school, but once you learn Photoshop and other Adobe products and professional grade softwares, then you can start messing around with the kerning of letters. So this is where like professional graphic design artists really perfect the letters that they're doing. So check it out. See this T and Y here? There's too much space between the T and Y. So kerning is when you change the space just between two letters in a word, okay? And this happens a lot for capital letters and then a lowercase letter right next to it. Even though like the spacing may be okay with the previous thing, tracking, the problem with capital letters and lowercase letters is that there's too much visual space right here, okay, in this space right here. So you want to tuck that Y underneath the T. So see how that Y now sits underneath the T? So that's going to create a more pleasing look for that particular word. Then look over here. We have this G and this R. The serifs on these two letters are just way too close. So we want to increase the kerning between these two to kind of just give them a little bit more space to breathe. Okay, so that's the concept of measuring in typography, and also how the vocab terms for the spacing in typography.